porque viene el pinche tren. Dale, dale, dale.
Hi everyone, this is Rocha, artist and educator, and I have a pop-up video exhibition for you. I decided to mount this exhibit first and foremost for myself. I wanted to reflect on a bunch of random pieces that I've had in my studio laying around. They're from, different eras, different styles, different medias, and experimentation is key throughout all these. And they all are to me like an ongoing story, but through this video, you'll see how they connect with one another, what inspired them, and hopefully this inspires you too. So join me. So here you see me setting up the wall with all the 22 artworks that I have. And when installing them, I was just kind of intuitively placing one next to the other, kind of making like a composition. They're not really curated per se, but just kind of for everything to look in uniform. Um, Here we have this piece called The Love Letter, or titled The Love Letter, and it's from a series that I called Tapography because they're made out of colored duct tape. And this all these works of the typography were done around 2010. You'll see next uh, this piece that I called The First Night, and it's again done by cutting duct tape in tiny pieces and then laying them one over the other by exposing just the edges, creating this sort of rough texture. Some of these earlier works, like this one, which dates back to 2008, I believe, this one was more inspired by architecture and specifically from the 2008 Olympics when I saw the stadium of the Bird's Nest National Stadium, and also the works of Frank Gehry. Here we have a picture of me, setting up and uh, working on this piece titled No Cable, No Cry. And you can see the thousands and thousands of, pieces of duct tape that I would cut and, place over each other to create this texture. So No Cable, No Cry, again, is kind of like to me a piece where there's no cable, but also no reason to cry. And it took me about, I want to say, between a month or two to create this piece. Next, we have this small work that was done mainly with mixed media, but the main medium is actually oil paint. And this is titled The Park. And I think, in contrast to all the other pieces, this was kind of like an isolated piece, but I think it'll loop back and you'll see how it kind of speaks to the kind of work that I'm doing right now. Next, we have this piece titled Rio. And during this time, I was really interested in experimenting with burnt plastic and cellophane and just creating like these layers and texture onto the pieces with just like these random abstract colors that would come out kind of like blisters by burning into the plastic. Next, we have this small tarp piece, which is fabric dipped in resin. And what I did was I would lay the fabric over a form to create like this hardened uh, form that would kind of like flow. But this was just an experiment. And then this one is more of an actual artwork that I called, I think it was titled The American Dream. But it's a piece that has fabric and doesn't have anything underneath it. This next piece is one that I found as is. I saw it in the flea market and it was just this old painting like laying on the floor, but it was filled with dirt. And it really reminded me of kind of like this tornado or this dirt devil that was kind of passing through the river. So I kind of claim it as a found object, and I just really love how it looks. And so now, I'm calling it a Rocha. Now it's my piece. I claim it as my own artwork. On this wood panel piece that they're again experimenting. I was thinking that I didn't want an actual square or the usual rectangle, but I wanted to give it like a lopsided form to the wood panel, where I would mix imagery with actual carving into the wood. So I took this image of a Vietnam soldier trying to help his friend, and I think the photograph is titled "The Kiss." And I don't think at the time I was thinking how that related to, a sewing machine where these random lines are coming out. I just really wanted to practice and seeing how the textures, both visual and tactile, would play with each other. Um, and so this is kind of like also a piece that stands off on its own, because I don't remember, you know, doing this again. But, now that I see it, I have other ideas of things that I could possibly do. Flag ass is, I think, self-explanatory. And I really love playing with text. Um, and I've used text throughout my works. Here we have Aguas con la Water, which was a billboard. I did this series of billboards that you can see on my website, as well as this one called Huele Medio Funky. Um, and again, I really enjoy playing with text and being part of the work. I also have these small series of collages, like this one. It's titled "The Universe Speaking to Itself." And so when I'm creating these collages, even though they're really flat, to me, they're more sculptural. They're three-dimensional. They have volume. And so you'll see how here they kind of like start making connections and references to containers, to these vases, where I mix it from collages to mixed media, uh, to just things that I see. Like, for example, this piece of washing machine that my father turned into like a vase of some sort, which I think looks really very contemporary because of the form, but it's just making use of a found object. And it led for me to see things differently, and now creating these containers and vases that I'm looking at them, and I look at them as apartments, like this tiny piece that was created by also using the tip of one of my tennis shoes, and then eventually using AI to create a form, or to kind of like show the time lapse of what I have in mind. When I see artwork, sometimes things are just at face value, but I think in the artist's imagination, at least in my imagination, I see them as things that have a particular place and time, but at the same time, they kind of speak of a time lapse of something that is, that has a beginning and could have an end. So thank you all for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed some of these pieces and could see some relations of how the works connect and maybe how they vary, but all throughout I feel like it's there's a common story. And I think this will kind of like force me to see them next to each other and maybe create something new, something mixed with AI, continuing to use found objects, text, a variety of different medias. And so thank you all. And I would also want to give a shout out to all of you who are enjoying my videos, and of course my two greatest followers and supporters, my parents, who have been the only ones that kind of like showed up accidentally to the studio, and I had just posted, or mounted the exhibition, so they're the only ones that have seen it in person. So if you want to see more of my work, please go to my site, heal-rocha.com. And if you want to see also some of these other videos and lessons, please go to my YouTube channel or find me on social media as rocha.rochelli. And see you guys next time.